Welcome back. Welcome back. You are listening to Whissel Weekends here on AM 1170 The Answer. My name is Kyle Whissel, your host with Whissel Realty. Jason Hall with Team Home Loans is out of studio today, serving his duty as the Los Angeles Chargers
Almost.
fan club president. He's doing his thing out there representing, helping Hunter Henry get through a rough time and trying to bring Antonio Gates back. Jason, miss you, bro. But in studio, we got James Cassady with State Farm Insurance. And before the break, we were talking that this is Disability Awareness Month. And some of the big takeaways I got from our conversation, James, is that first and foremost, disability is not just getting in a car accident or having something like that happen to you. The majority of the disabilities that occur are illness related.
Yep.
That's important to think about, because far too often we're just thinking about what if I get hit by a car? That's just like the automatic thing,
right,
that comes into play. But it's not just that. It's getting ill, getting cancer, getting some disease.
Let me take it a step further.
Yeah.
Mental illness as well, right? Because you've got the physical accident, you've got the physical ailment of disability, but there's also the potential for mental disability and time out of work for whatever that mental disability may be. I mean, it's personally to me, my wife has gone out on disability and for multiple things, and it's caused timing issues for us. We were taken care of, but it was just timing, and we had to put things in place, but luckily we had reserves. And so it's important to me and my family. And so I like to project out to, there's a lot of things that have happened that kind of make, it's all about stories, right? And the stories that we have that are personal help us make it edible for the customer to sit down and go, okay, I can chew on that and I get that now because of the story. If I just say this is what you should have and here's statistics on it, it doesn't make sense. But when you tell a story and you're like, this is real, this is what's gone on in my family as the insurance agent, this is how it works, this is how it can work for you, I think it's important. So it's not just, getting into the car accident. It's just not, I got injured and I'm a dentist and I broke my hand, so therefore I can't do dentistry for 2 months until I rehab out. There's other things that go along with it as well. Yeah. Mental is a big one.
Yeah, that's huge. Again, if you guys want to explore disability insurance, we can get you connected with James Cassady, State Farm Insurance, 619-663-SELL, 619-663-7355. So the other thing you mentioned during the last segment, James, was the offer you put out there of an insurance and financial review.
Yep.
So talk to me about what that is and then why somebody would want this.
Okay, so the way that I basically start off with my customers when I do we call IFR for short, but it's a simple conversation. And we basically sit there and initially I get to know the customer first because I'm going to find out a lot about them. Sometimes I'm going to find out more about them than what some of their family members know about them. So I'm going to have that conversation and sit down and go, okay, well, tell me a little bit about your income. What do you do for work? How long have you worked there? Do you plan on leaving? Do you plan on getting a promotion? How does that look like for you? Tell me about the kids. Tell me about your things that you're responsible for, like your parents. Are you responsible for your parents? Are you going to plan on paying for them in their elders because they didn't prepare it? Your kids, grandkids, how does that look like for you? And then I tell them a little bit about me because that exchange is very awkward if I just take a bunch of personal information and I don't tell you a little bit about me. It's just weird. So I just go over my family like, this is what we are. This is how long I've been doing this. This is what's important to me. And then we start digging into that triangle of protection that we talked about. And we talk about, okay, well, here's the way that I look at it. Here are the things that we do. Here's some things that I don't do. Here are some people that you should talk to. Trusts, for instance, are super important. I've got some referrals.
Yeah, before you move on, trust. If you have a child and let's just say you're a husband and wife and you guys get in a car wreck,
yeah,
and you both die,
yeah,
with your kid not in the car, you don't control where your kid goes.
Nope.
The state controls that.
Yep.
That is a scary.
Yeah,
being a father of a 2-year-old, the fact that if heaven forbid something happened to my wife and I, that the state takes control over what happens with our daughter, that's a scary, scary thought, man.
Now put a $3 million life insurance policy into the mix. How does that money get spent? By whom? how often, where is it going to get spent, and at what intervals is it going to be spent. So those trusts can actually lay out and fund the responsible party and fund for your children of how that's going to play out, of when you decide, okay, I'm going to give them a chunk at 18, I'll give them a chunk at 25, and I'll give them a chunk at graduating with a master's degree. But it can all be specifically laid out in the trust, and the trustee handles that operation too. So I love trusts. I think they're vitally important, and it can dictate how those things play out based upon your wishes.
Absolutely.
So, and then it avoids probate.
Yes.
Right. And the cost of probate, because probate costs, I think, 3 to 5%.
That's a ton of money.
A ton of money, right?
Yes.
Especially if you're dealing with a $3 million life insurance policy. You're like, where did that money go to?
Totally.
So, it avoids a lot of the hassle, the timing of that, because if you don't have the trust in place, the timing of probate and that child, while it's being determined who's going to take care and responsible for that child, where does that child go in the meantime? Right. So, we have these conversations, even though I don't sell trusts, but I think it's vitally important to the overall scheme of things. So we have that conversation. They can go out and talk to their trust attorney, or I've got a recommendation of 3 trust attorneys that we deal with.
Yeah, if you guys need a connection to a good trust attorney, James and I would love to get you connected with one. Give us a call or shoot us a text. We'll make that introduction happen for you. 619-663-SELL, 619-663-7355. So let's get back onto the insurance and financial review. We went down a rabbit hole, but very, very important. If you have a child or you own a home, you need a trust.
Yeah. No doubt.
Period.
No doubt.
Period. No negotiation on that. You need it.
Insurance, during that insurance and financial review, I think education is the most vital part for me. Informing the customer of how much insurance they need. I know, well, how much do I need, right? And there's no real right answer because there's no real right number, right? But I like to educate them on 2 different things. Insurance for me is 2 things. One, it's the moral and ethical responsibility to take care of someone that I damaged. I have not had one person argue with me yet saying I don't have a responsibility if I did some damage that I should take care and fix that to make the person whole, right? That's a court term. Right. That people use to make the person whole. You either self-insure and you have enough money to make that person whole with your own savings that you've built up, or you have insurance to pay for those things to make that person whole, and they do it monetarily. A quick example, if I'm going to run numbers, if you took a 35-year-old who's going to work to age 67 and a half, that person's going to work, what are the numbers work on? 32.5 years. If that individual makes $60,000 a year, and assuming for the ease of our equation that there is no price, cost of living adjustment, promotion, increase of pay, it's just 60 flat, that person is worth $1.95 million to their family. That court of law, the way that the courts have determined what that loss is to that family, so they determined it monetarily, and what it is their income until retirement. So if for some reason you took someone out of their being a father or mother, and that person is worth $60,000 a year and they're 35, going to work to age 67, you should technically pay that family $1.95 million. And that's just a $60,000 a year gig. So you should have a $2 million umbrella policy in place to pay for that financially. So that's the moral and ethical thing that we look at.
Okay.
The second thing that we look at is the equity protection. So if you don't have all that money in savings to pay that out, and you don't have enough insurance coverage to have someone else pay that out for you, I would come after your assets. If you did it to my family and my wife, I'm going to look at you, Kyle. I'm going to be like, how much are you worth? So I'm coming after all of it. You took my wife, you took the mother of my children, and that is a lot to me. So I'm going to look for everything I can possibly take. Any good lawyer or bad lawyer, however, whatever angle you want to look at it, is going to go for everything. So if you have enough insurance in place, you don't have to liquidate your home, sell it, take cash out, whatever it may be. You don't have to get rid of all the non-attachable assets to that lawsuit and have you wiped out because of a quick text message that you picked up on the phone while you're driving and just weren't paying attention for just a brief second, and that is literally gone. So 2 things. Insurance is 2 things for me, and I educate my customers on this, going, look, before we have any conversation about your car and how much it's worth and what it is to get the windshield repaired, we're going to have this conversation. You're an adult. You're going to make the decisions on what you want to do, and we take budget into account as well. because sometimes people are working on a fixed budget, so we got to figure out what it is. But those are the two major things that we look at.
That's huge. If you guys want to get connected with James again, give us a call, shoot us a text, 619-663-SELL, 619-663-7355. And I know every time you're here, James, we talk about the umbrella policy, but with good reason. It is the biggest no-brainer insurance policy that nobody has. That nobody has, right?
Oh, my God.
It is so cheap to have an umbrella policy. And James mentioned the story. I met an extremely wealthy person one day and spent a day with him. And at the end of the day, he was like, if you take nothing else from this time that we had together, take away the fact that you need to have an umbrella policy and get the biggest umbrella policy that they will possibly give you.
Right.
Because it is the cheapest insurance there is.
So the way that those work, just from a financial standpoint of why they're so cheap, and then we'll get into what it is. But everybody always is like, cost. What's the cost of this? The reason why they're cheap is because if you look at the bucket strategy, people use that from a financial investing perspective. But if you look at it from an insurance perspective, the automobile policy or the homeowner's policy is going to pay first. So the liability coverage that you have out of that automobile gets depleted first. And if then there are any leftover bills that need to be paid out of that, it comes out of the umbrella policy bucket. So it's not being utilized that much. It's like term life insurance. Only 2% of those policies pay out. They're either canceled or the person outlives the policy. That's why they're so cheap, is because they're not being used. Same thing with the umbrella policy. Not utilized that often. And then it just goes back to the two things. How much damage are you going to do to somebody? Can you predict it? Right? And then what are your assets? Are you going to protect your assets? How much are you willing to give up? I was talking to a guy earlier today, and we were looking at his insurance coverage. You have to have a certain set minimum before you can have an umbrella policy, before you're eligible. And he was just one bump below that. So that's going to cost him to bump. It's going to cost him to buy the umbrella policy. But with State Farm, the umbrella policy gives you an additional 5% discount, offsetting some of that bump. I gave him 12 times the amount of coverage that he was currently carrying for $14.25 total per month. 12 times. Look, that's a run to Starbucks.
Right.
At $6, $5. I call it $5 on Starbucks. It's per drink, right? So that's just a quick run with a cake pop. So it's never going to happen to them.
Right.
It's never going to happen to you until it does. I sell more life insurance after someone dies in someone's family than I do when I just try to talk to them about it. Tell them about the discounts associated with it, the value of it.
Think about that stuff. They just want to try to pretend like it doesn't happen, but it's not real.
Well, and people think of insurance differently than they think of their doctor, their lawyer, right? Your CPA or your accountant, right? It's the same thing. It should be on the same level. You don't want to have someone recommend insurance to you that doesn't involve in that profession. And it's vitally important. So go to your insurance professional. Come visit me at my office.
Again, if you want to get connected with James, 619-663-SELL, 619-663-7355. When we get back, we're bringing Thomas, our new media guy over at Whissel Realty. We're bringing him on air. Ooh. Thomas, I hope you're ready. You're listening to Whissel Weekends, AM 1170, The Answer.